it's my pleasure to introduce our moderator for this session, Richard Gu from Wayzata High School. He is a graduating senior. Richard, what do you have for us today?
Thanks for the introduction. Welcome everyone to our last panel of the day, our youth forum, where we'll be focusing on the achievements of a few of our most prominent high schoolers, college students, and recent graduates. Today we have with us 5 panelists who have all accomplished incredible things, from volunteer service all the way to military service. Without further ado, let's begin our Q&A session with each of our panelists and answer some of our most pressing questions. We'll start with Nathan Sun, who is one of the founders of Hawthorne Orchard, a nonprofit organization focused on environmental protection, community education, and awareness. Nathan, can you give us a brief overview of some of the projects you've done?
Okay, so like you just said, our goal is very broad. So we focus on protecting the environment, on educating the community, and also bringing awareness to important ideas. So we've done a variety of events like trash collection events, job seminars with our own members, hospital donations, art sessions, and also we created a club at our school.
Great. And what would you say is your most memorable moment in your organization so far?
Our most memorable moment about organizing so far is probably working with the video production crew at our school. And essentially we wanted to bring awareness on distracted-free driving. So we got permission to create a video and we showed it to the morning announcements and to the entire school.
Sounds great. That sounds great that you've been gotten this so involved with your high school as well. To kind of bring this into a bit of context, around how many people are involved with Hawthorne Orchard?
So currently we have 9 members who kind of plan events and host events.
And how many people typically attend your guest speaker events and other community service events?
It kind of varies from event to event, but for our seminars, we had around 40 people attending. That was in person before quarantine. For our trash collection events, I think we picked around like 50 bags of trash in total with like 30 volunteers joining, I think. So that's really nice, yeah.
Nice. And how did you come up with the idea to start Hawthorne Orchard?
So this group idea actually initially started from a sort of challenge by a parent organization called UFA, and they're accepting event proposals from the youth. And after this sort of approval process, they would actually fund the events, which was really nice. So I just decided to write a proposal, and so my neighbors and friends decided to help out. So that's how we kind of got started.
Oh, so you actually got funding from this organization?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you think you need funding to do this sort of thing? Or how important do you think that is?
We have requested funding for like events like our hospital donations, but I do not think you need funding. Using Hawthorne Orchard as an example, we have hosted seminars, invited speakers that did not cost any money. We've also created videos, like I said earlier, with the help of the school, and we were able to broadcast it to the morning announcements. And this just shows how you get like a large viewer base and large influence without spending any money.
Awesome. And our last question here, from your experiences, what is like one major thing that you like to tell our audience here?
One main thing I like to say is to probably create an organization that's very welcoming and that allows people to really interact with your group. For Hawthorne Orchard, we try to do team bonding activities so everyone wants to contribute, and as we're having fun, we can also be helpful to the community too.
Great. Well, thanks for your time, Nathan, and for your leadership in our community. We'll now move on to our next panelist, Ashley, who I see is outside, and she's advocated against teen vaping through Escape the Vape. Ashley, first of all, can you kind of describe the vaping pandemic a little bit for the people in our audience who are like unaware of it?
Yeah, so basically vaping was created to kind of help smokers like wean off of addiction, but then it turned into a thing where it was allowing youth to kind of like get into those like through vaping. So it's become worse and worse where like it is presented as something that's not too dangerous for kids, when in reality it's a lot worse than people think.
Yeah, it's becoming pretty commonplace in our high schools. So
Mhm.
with your Escape the Vape video, can you talk about like what inspired you to create that video?
Yeah, so the video was actually like a statewide competition thing. This group of, it was like a group of um, Alena Health and the Minnesota Department of Health. They all kind of came together to kind of encourage students to learn about why vaping is dangerous and um, share it with their peers through like making videos. And my idea for the video was that I kind of wanted it to be more of like a story, kind of like a narrative, rather than like vaping is bad for you, like scare tactics. I feel like those are like used a lot already. I feel like it's better to kind of present another side, which is like the dangers of the industry. So yeah.
Yeah, I saw your video and I really liked your unique approach. I also heard a few other
Heck,
voices
of course
while
not.
watching that video. So how did you kind of like get your friends involved in this project?
Yeah, so um, a lot of it was that it was kind of last minute, but I kind of wanted, as I said before, like it to be a story, kind of like it feels more personal when it's like other teens teaching other teens about like the dangers of vaping. So I asked my sister as well as her friend to kind of be the voices of the characters that I had in my video.
And last question here, now that this issue has kind of been brought to your radar, do you have any plans for the future to like further advocate against teen vaping, like going into the summer and the fall?
Yeah, I think just being aware of it and like trying to even just educate my friends about it. I feel like even though it's so present in our lives, we don't really talk about it. But also there's a lot of like things on the legislative side where one of the directors of a competition said that she and a group of people are trying to pass a bill that would prevent the sale of vaping, or like kind of put measures so that kids my age wouldn't even have them in the first place. So I'm hoping to work with her on that as well.
Yeah, it's great that you're getting involved with like super high level people too. So I think we have the
Okay.
video here.
Yeah, I do. I just want to ask, so I'm gonna play it right now, right?
All right, so here's the Escape the Vape video.
Ooh, Tina, look at these cool vapes. Should we get some?
Nick, of course not. Did you know that the vaping industry targets teens like us? With colorful packaging and exciting flavors? Look, this is a vape compared to our Sour Patch Kids.
I can't believe the industry is taking advantage of us like that.
That day, Nick left with something, but it wasn't a vape. It was a lesson that vaping isn't as sweet as it sounds.
Love that video. Yeah, well, thanks so much, Ashley, for helping our youth stay away from vaping. So we now turn to our
As always, everybody, welcome to Ivy Knows Best. It's your boy, Eric Ivy. This is a little different. All right, this is a little different for me.
Technical difficulties.
Normally in my YouTube space, I don't have a lot of guests, but
yeah, so we now, or can we, yeah. So we now turn to our third panelist, Emily, who's been leading an organization dedicated to promoting girls' participation in STEM for the past year. Welcome, Emily. So our first question is, where did you get the idea for your organization, SAGE?
Yeah, so I myself am really passionate about STEM and participate in a lot of STEM extracurriculars like Science Bowl and Biology Olympiad. And just in my own experience, I have noticed a large lack of female representation in these activities that I did. And so that kind of inspired me and motivated me to do something about that, which is how SAGE got started.
Great. And how have you gotten your friends and your community involved in this project?
Yeah, so in terms of recruiting people to help, reached out to people from my school, mutual friends, and in terms of students, social media has been a huge help in kind of spreading the word and allowing us to reach so many students. we've advertised on Instagram, Facebook, Nextdoor, as well as WeChat. That community has been a huge help as well in helping us find more students and reach more people. So that is definitely how we got so many people involved.
Yeah, and I see on the slide here that you've had quite a bit of students. And it's getting pretty well known in the Twin Cities. So how do you feel about this sort of publicity and like what it means for Sage?
I think it's really great that it's getting a lot of publicity because I want this to obviously reach as many people as possible for us to be able to help as many students as possible. And just bring awareness to this issue as well, because maybe it'll inspire other people to do something similar or get involved with Sage. And I think that's super exciting.
And can you also talk a little bit about some of the like unique classes that you've offered?
Yeah, so we offer a huge variety of classes, a lot of them not taught maybe even in a traditional high school curriculum. We've had classes on evolutionary biology, environmental science, theoretical/quantum physics, as well as web development classes, learning HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, and a huge variety that you can also see more on our materials page in our website if you're interested.
Well, yeah, that's a lot of different classes. And I remember you said that you also had a few students from different states. So yeah, so how'd you get so many people from different states, and like how many states have you reached so far?
Yeah, so we have had students from 24 states in provinces, as well as in Canada, Australia, and China. And yeah, I would attribute that to just the amazing social media network that we have access to in this technological age, as well as the word of mouth spreading. Once you find a couple people from a certain area, then more and more people from that area will tend to join.
And last question here, since I know that you're going to be a senior next year, what's kind of your plan moving forward for continuing this organization after you graduate?
Yeah, so I'm running Sage right now, but the vice president of Sage, Alicia, will be taking over next year and the year after that. Keeping on the legacy even after I graduate high school. We also have a lot of other team members like Kelly and Helena that will also be helping out. And we are also trying to get some current students involved as well, with some of them helping make graphics or send out emails, make Google Forms, and do outreach to other states, hopefully inspiring them to take on an even more active role in helping run Sage in the future.
Yeah, well, that's great, Emily. Thanks so much for working hard to get so many girls involved in STEM. Let's also take a moment to thank our first three panelists here for their exceptional volunteer work. And our final two panelists are a little bit different in their focus. We have Nick Till, who graduated from West Point 8 years ago, and his younger brother Noah is currently a senior at the U.S. Air Force Academy. So our first question that we'll begin with for both of you is, why did you make the decision to study at West Point for Nick and the U.S. Air Force for Noah?
I guess I can go first. I've always wanted to kind of give back, and I think we grew up in a very like strangely patriotic family. I think our dad has always been very appreciative of all the freedoms that we've had in America. So like for me as a young high school kid, I was like, hey, I want to challenge myself. And West Point has always been something that I aspire to in terms of the amount of leadership that they have, the history, and just the opportunities that they give you. So I thought it was a perfect fit for me. And honestly, it turned out exactly like that. I'll let Noah speak for himself, but I was thrown into just something totally unexpected, and you're kind of like trial by fire, and they put you in charge of a lot of different people and people from all walks of the U.S. So that was extremely rewarding and kind of got exactly what I thought I would get.
Yeah, so for me, I was about in middle school when Nick went to West Point, and he was the first one in a family to even like think like that. I remember like our parents were really surprised when Nick one day just told them, "Hey, I'm applying to West Point." Um, so I went to, we went to West Point a couple times to see Nick's parades and graduation and things like that. And I remember really being inspired by all the cadets looking really sharp in their uniforms, a lot of young, fit-looking people running and working out. And I really liked the rigid and structured lifestyle. And I also knew that I wanted something for myself where I would challenge myself and I would serve something greater than just myself. Um, and I've always been interested in airplanes growing up. So uh, I did more research and I found out that I could be a pilot by going to the U.S. Air Force Academy. So I ultimately, about in middle school, I decided I want the military academy life and I want to serve my country and also doing something I love, which is flying airplanes. And I did get selected to be a pilot. So I'm graduating in about 2 weeks and afterwards I'll be going to pilot training.
Yeah, it sounds like an amazing environment over there, but I'm sure that many of our parents here in the audience may have some safety concerns about their children going into armed forces. So what would you like to say to those parents?
I would say, honestly, it's fair. It's quite true. I mean, you are signing up to put yourself in harm's way, but I think, I mean, experiences vary, right? Like as a former artillery officer, like running around in the jungles with the infantry guys, I would say our risk is a little higher than say some of the other branches, but with that there are a lot of rewards that come with it, right? I, as a 22-year-old fresh college grad, was put in charge of a platoon of like 15 to 30 soldiers, and right away you get just thrown into that leadership experience, and to be honest, the difference that you make in those soldiers' lives is more than well worth it. The camaraderie that you get, the just new experiences all over the world, I think are very much worth it. And yeah, at the end of the day, you are signing yourself up to put yourself in harm's way. So it is a very real risk, and you kind of have to balance that with some of the other considerations that I just talked about.
Yeah, and to add on to that, so at least in the Air Force side, a lot of jobs don't actually, well, you won't find yourself in harm's way. Um, Again, of course, it's something that we all sign up for. Those that have come before us and sacrificed themselves for our country is a really deep part of military heritage. But also, there are a lot of jobs, like a lot of support jobs, that don't require you to actually be fighting, especially in the Air Force. There's a lot of contracting jobs and maintenance jobs and things like that.
And can you two describe what some of your day-to-day life of it is, or day-to-day life is, and like I'm sure some of our audience is curious, like what portion of it do you spend doing like military or Air Force training, and what portion do you spend on academics, and how do you balance that?
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
let
start off
Noah.
with that.
Yeah, go ahead, Noah.
Yeah, so I'm about to graduate from the academy. So the academy lifestyle is very different from once you actually graduate and start working in the active duty. So for me, first year at the military academy is always very tough. So the first summer you come is basic cadet training, and it's like a rude awakening. You show up and you instantly start getting yelled at, and you're always at attention. You have to march everywhere. You learn to put on the uniform. Um, and it's a very challenging 2 months. But afterwards, you really get a sense of confidence and growth from having to push yourself constantly. Every day, like everybody's thought of quitting in basic cadet training. If they tell you they haven't, they're lying. But like every day, you're pushing yourself as far as you can, and you really grow from that. And then once you get into the academic year, it's mostly classes. So we have classes during the day, and then in the afternoons, some people do sports practice and other clubs and intramurals and things like that. And we also have military training, especially for the freshmen. So how it works is so upperclassmen are given leadership positions, and we often have afternoon training sessions for the freshmen. We'll make them like march with rucks or learn knowledge and things like that.
On the active duty side, once after you graduate, I was a second lieutenant in the Army stationed in Hawaii, and it's going to be, my experience is going to be very different than the other branches, but broadly it's like in the morning you show up and you do PT at like 6:30, work out for an hour and a half. You're standing in front of formation in front of soldiers, and you're running at the front. You're like the first one there. You have to run faster than everybody, and you have to lead these formations. And then after PT you spend a lot of time just doing training, and you'll probably do between maintenance, vehicle maintenance, like weapons qualification, like pocketbook training. I was an artilleryman, so we spent a lot of our time on the technical aspects of how to shoot artillery. So we would train our soldiers, we would establish like training plans, and just spend a lot of time in the field. And then when we're in the field, it's like you drive out there or you walk out there, you spend 3 or 4 weeks on a mountain or in the jungle, and you're just doing patrol operations or setting up firing positions or forward observation posts. So it's like very much varies, but yeah, I would say it definitely keeps you on your toes, and it's never the same thing. So that's pretty cool about it.
That sounds like a very intense environment to go to college in. So how has going to college in such a physically and mentally rigorous place changed you guys?
I can go first on that one. I would say it's given me a lot of confidence. Like Noah said earlier, I think that's the number one thing. Like when you've put yourself through these challenges of, you know, waking up early, people yelling at you, having to make your bed, and like just constantly doing everything wrong, and just being in high pressure, high stress situations, you really learn and develop these a lot of like endurance muscles, and you get the confidence of knowing that you can take anything. On the physical side, like after being in the Army for so many years and going through so many like unique challenges, after spending 4 weeks in the jungle, you're like, everything is easy, you know. After you've pushed yourself to the point and led people and tried to motivate them in such trying times, I mean, you know, anything is easy after that.
And oh, Noah, would you like to comment on that as well?
Yeah, I'll add on what Nick said was exactly right. But also, you also gain a lot of leadership experience. For example, last summer, I was a cadet cadre for basic cadet training. So I was the one leading or training the basics. So I had 29 basic cadets under me, high school graduates that had just come in, and it was extremely rewarding to push them and train them, and to see them come from day zero, they're scared high school students, to, you know, when they're graduating basic cadet training and putting on the uniform and becoming part of the cadet wing. It was extremely rewarding to see like the leadership of me and my team, how we've impacted their lives. And that has also given me a really big confidence boost. And I feel like I've gained a lot of experience from leading people and working with people, both peer-to-peer leadership and like for leadership of subordinates. Yeah, it's a very rigorous experience, but also you gain a lot of experiences that normal college students wouldn't even be able to imagine.
Definitely. And since this is like less of a traditional path that a lot of people would consider, what advice would you give for like parents or kids of these parents who like want to go down this path?
I would say know what you're getting yourself into. I think that's number one. We've talked and known a couple of Chinese American students that have gone without really fully understanding what they were signing up for, and it didn't go so well. I would say like if once you know what you're signing up for and you're committed, I think it is very, very doable, and you just have to like train, get ready, and just have the mental fortitude to never quit. I think that's number one, is you can't go in ever expecting to be able to walk out. Like you can't quit. Like that's number one. And then number two is like the rewards. and the leadership experience and the confidence building is incredible. I think post, I'm 8 years from graduating from West Point, and I would say I would 100% do it again. It's not just the tangible things. Yeah, sure. Like, West Point's like relatively prestigious. It helps get into other schools. You get all these benefits that come with it, but the intangibles of the leadership experience, the confidence, and honestly, the strength and the presence that you get from being a military officer is invaluable.
Yeah, I don't want to add on to that. It's like my brother and I, we chose the military route, and it's a route that not a lot of Asian Americans choose. So, like at my academy, it's about, I'd say like 70% white, and only about 5 to 10% Asian. But what I was gonna say is, don't like keep as you're looking for what you want to do in your life, keep your mind open. Don't like fall into the stereotypes that usually when people think of Asian Americans, they'll think of certain jobs or career fields to go into. But keep your mind open and do what you want to do. Like for me, seeing my brother go to West Point, I decided that's how I want my life to be. So I pursued that. I worked hard in high school and I achieved that. So don't limit yourself. Go searching out opportunities.
Well, thank you both for giving such great answers. I'm sure our audience members learned a lot about life in a military academy and what kinds of kids might be fit for this path. Most of all, thank you both for your service to our country. And with that, this concludes our youth panel. Once again, I'd like to thank all 5 of our accomplished panelists for taking the time today to attend this session. Now, we also have with us today a Professor Gao, who's a representative from CAM, which is the largest Chinese American organization in Minnesota. Professor, would you like to say a few words?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm currently the Secretary of Chinese American Association of Minnesota. As many of you know, this organization is also named as CAM. It is the oldest and the largest Chinese American community organizations in the state. Its mission is to provide cultural, educational, recreational, and other programs to promote the cultural heritage and enhance the quality of the Chinese Americans in the state of Minnesota. And here I would like to briefly introduce the Stanley Chuang and the scholarship for our young generation. Stanley moved to the Minneapolis in 1934 and later started a successful business in the city. In the 1950s, to accommodate the need in the growing local Chinese community, Stanley worked with Walter James of Nanking Coffee and organized the Social and Cultural Association that eventually became CAM. He also served as the second president of the organization. Later, watching a new generation of Chinese children growing up, Stanley sought to ensure their future by establishing a college scholarship fund at CAM for them. So with the generous support from the Stanley and the Marvel Chuang Foundation, the Ken Stanley Chuang Scholarship was established for Minnesota high school Chinese descendant seniors with American citizenships or green cards for the undergraduate college tuitions. Stanley once said, education is very important, and I wish to help young people who are willing to work hard and to become productive citizens. I'm very proud of our Minnesota Chinese community, and I hope that our succeeding generations will continue to learn about our Chinese homeland and culture. So in the past 4 years, Ken has provided more than 210,000 in scholarships to more than 60 Minnesota Chinese students. This program has been widely supported and praised by the local Chinese community. And the participation in the volunteer services of the applicants and their parents in any CAM organized events, such as the Festival of Nations, are highly valued for this scholarship. We put a very heavy weight during the evaluation for this kind of service. In addition, the applicant's experience of attending the CAM Chinese Dance Theater and the CAM Chinese Language School play important roles in the evaluation process. So if you have interest in applying for this scholarship, we would highly encourage you to get involved in the CAM organized events or activities. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gao, for describing CAM's mission as well as this wonderful scholarship. And with that, I'll now hand it back to Joe Chen to conclude today's panel.
Thank you very much, Richard. You did a fantastic job. Thanks, Dr. Gao. I think it's important to get to remember that Kim is giving away money. There's free money out there. Help Kim out, and you may receive this money for your graduating kids. So just want to make sure people got this message. And I also want to thank the two brothers. I love the background. I love the American flag. I love the Air Force suit. Those looks fantastic. Thank you, and really want to appreciate from the community that you are service the country. Thank you.